College football wraps up 2020 with the Oklahoma Sooners absolutely dominating the Florida Gators in the Cotton Bowl. Some key stat lines for the game were Florida quarterback Kyle Trask threw 16 for 28 for 158 yards and 3 interceptions, and Emory Jones had 10 carries for 60 yards and a touchdown. And for the Sooners, Spencer Rattler threw 14 for 23, 247 yards and 3 touchdowns, and running back Stevenson had 18 carries for 186 yards and a touchdown. And now I'm basically just going to be going through all of my initial game notes and thoughts as the game went along. So the big question leading up into this game is, will young Florida players step up and help Trask out with production in the offense? There were 4 key Florida players out: Kyle Pitts, Kadarius Toney, Trayvon Grimes, and Jacob Copeland, who are all responsible for a total of 32 touchdowns this year. And some bets that I had on the game, where I had the score going over 64.5, which it did because it reached 75. And I had the Gators plus 10.5, so I had them losing within 10 points, which that obviously did not happen. So going through the game in the first quarter, on the very first drive, the Sooners established the run game, and that opened up big passing plays down the field, and it led to a 27-yard touchdown pass to Mims. Throughout the quarter, we all saw terrible meltdown for Kyle Trask. He threw 3 interceptions. Two of the early interceptions led to points, one being a pick six and the other one being a field goal. Halfway through the first quarter, Emory Jones comes in and he gives some life to the offense and he helps them lead the Gators down the field. The reason why they scored a field goal and not a touchdown was because they had 2 design quarterback runs with Kyle Trask back to back. And I'm thinking to myself, Kyle Trask is not a true dual threat quarterback. Anyway, continuing on, Oklahoma, they had used counter run plays to the left side of the field, and they get big plays. In the second quarter, Emory Jones comes in, gives some more life to the offense, leads them to their first touchdown drive. And then the Gators force a second fumble, and they can't capitalize, and they have to settle for 3. And then the Sooners, they get back-to-back touchdown drives to end the half, and they go up 31-13. And some of my halftime thoughts were that Oklahoma was running all over the field on the Gator defense. The Gators need to also look at possibly benching Trask and having Emory Jones just lead the offense. And that the only real production that the Gators had was when Emory Jones was in the game. And the Sooners that were getting pressure and forcing the quarterback, Kyle Trask, to make bad throws. And if the Gators want to come back and win this game, they will need to make big plays on offense, and they need to slow the Sooners' run game down. Ultimately, we all saw that clearly did not happen. In the third quarter, opening drive, Trask came out. He almost throws a 4th interception. Ball gets tipped up in the air. And then the Gators stall out after just 4 plays. Florida, they still struggled offensively, and they couldn't create any production. And then one of the things that I had written down in my notes is inexperience the issue, which I'll let that be up to y'all to decide. Oklahoma improves on the run game. Halfway through the third quarter, they had a 73-yard run by running back, and they cap off that drive with a field goal. A holding penalty stops them from getting a touchdown that drive. Drops from Florida wide receivers really hurt that offense, especially from wide receiver Justin Shorter. He had 2 big drops that could have led to big plays or possibly touchdowns for the Gator offense. And the Gator defense could not stop the Sooners' run game. And I have in big exclamation points and big emphasis on Oklahoma's run game. In the fourth quarter, it was just a complete breakdown of the Gators' defense. The game officially got out of hand. Florida's offense looked very dysfunctional, like they didn't have a true identity, and it was a complete domination from the Sooners on all sides of the ball. The Oklahoma Sooners dominated the Florida Gators in the Cotton Bowl 55-20. And here are some of my post-game thoughts and initial reactions. So Lincoln Riley gets his first win in postseason bowl game as a head coach, as he was previously 0-3, losing to Georgia, Alabama, and LSU last year. The Florida Gator breakdown was, the big headline of the game was, could Florida and Trask still produce without 4 key starters? Those starters being Kyle Pitts, Kadarius Toney, Trayvon Grimes, and Jacob Copeland, who are all responsible for 32 touchdowns this year. And the big answer to that question is no. Kyle Trask looked like a fraction of himself the entire game. He threw 3 interceptions just in the first quarter, and 2 of those 3 interceptions led to Sooner scores, one being a pick six and the other led to a field goal for them. The offense's only real production came when Emory Jones was in the game. He led them to one of the 2 touchdowns that they ever scored in the game. The Gators defense played absolutely terrible and might as well not even showed up. They gave up 684 total yards. They were missing open tackles, and they could not stop the Sooners' run game from the very first snap up until the end of the game. Oklahoma had 455 rushing yards, and they averaged 10.5 rushing yards a play. Again, the Oklahoma Sooners averaged a first down a play against the Gators defense, which is absolutely terrible. The breakdown for Oklahoma is that the Sooners offense did the same thing in the Cotton Bowl that they have been doing all season long. They established the run game early, and they used that run game to set up open deep shots down the field for Rattlers. They used running back counter plays the entire game, and they were basically unstoppable. Stevenson had a touchdown run where he broke like 5 Gator tackles. Like, it was absolutely insane. Rattler on the offense just exposed what we already suspected about the Gators defense, which is that they, in reality, weren't really that good. The Sooners defense played absolutely phenomenal as well. They forced 3 interceptions and had a shutdown red zone defense, giving up 2 field goals and a turnover on downs. Now, the key moment in the game was when it was about the middle of the second quarter, and the Gators forced a fumble and are in Sooner territory with momentum and a chance to tie the game, with the score being 10-17. The Sooners get a goal line stand and hold the Gators to 3, and the very next drive, they go 60 yards in 4 plays and score a touchdown. After that sequence of events, the game was pretty much over. The future is looking bright for Rattler and the Sooners. They're headed into the offseason with high hopes and a possible college football playoff appearance for next year.